Thanks for tuning in to FAMPO's second chat with a planner. We have one of our regional transportation planners with us today, Jordan Chandler. She will provide insight on the development of a new set of goals for our region's transportation system. And I will briefly introduce the subject we'll be talking about today and then turn the floor over to Jordan. Then we'll ask Jordan some frequently asked questions. About every 4 years, FAMPO staff work with transportation agencies, local officials, and local planners, as well as members of the public, to develop a regional transportation plan. The plan looks 30 years out into the future to anticipate transportation needs, establish transportation goals, and list transportation projects that can fulfill needs and support the region's goals. Because this type of transportation plan looks far out into the future, to the year 2050, we call it the 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan. It's now time for us to start work on this new transportation plan for the Fredericksburg region, and we need the public's help to establish the transportation goals. We currently have a survey out for members of the public to weigh in on 7 goals FAMPO staff have suggested. The survey allows the public to propose their own transportation goals for the region. The survey is open through December 31st, and the survey link is provided on this slide. Today, we will have Jordan discuss the 7 proposed transportation goals in more detail. At the end of her presentation, we'll do some Q&As. Over to you, Jordan.
Thanks, Stacy. Hi, everyone. I'm Jordan Chandler, a regional transportation planner from FAMPO, and I'm going to explain the 7 transportation goals that FAMPO staff are proposing for the inclusion in the new 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan, which you'll hear me refer to it as the LRTP. So goal number 1 is to have an efficient and convenient transportation system. And so let's start by defining what a transportation system is. A transportation system moves people, goods, and materials from place to place. And this movement can be through roadways, rail services, bus services, and bicycle and pedestrian paths. This system also includes air and water travel. And so what does it mean to have an efficient and convenient transportation system? And what does that look like? Well, an efficient means capable of getting people and goods and materials from point A to point B in an acceptable time frame. So for example, sitting in traffic on I-95 is not an efficient transportation system. So a convenient transportation system is one that people can use easily. For a bus service, this might include easy access to a bus stop. Convenient rail services would mean that you could arrive where you need to be at the time that you want to be there. Moving on to goal 2, it's to develop, manage, and preserve the transportation system. By develop, we mean create new transportation routes. And for example, that means sidewalks, new roadways, or even additional bus stops. By manage, we mean tweak the transportation system to make it work better for its users. And by preserve, we mean to fix what we've already got in place. Moving on to goal 3, it's to provide a safe transportation system. Safety includes vehicle and passenger safety, as well as pedestrian and cyclist safety. For example, adding crosswalks on large roadways in order to connect one area to another, or even adding rail crossings or rail crossing arm in order to alert people that a train is coming. Even in general, roadway signs and other measures to notify people where their exits might be are included in this system. Goal 4 is to protect and improve the environment, promote energy conservation and sustainability, and improve overall quality of life. For example, protecting and improving the environment could include transit options like the bus and the train, which would improve the environment by taking cars off the road, therefore reducing air quality emissions. Adapting and planning for effects like climate change is also important. And one way to do this is to consider how stormwater level may impact travel. We also need to consider ways that are being developed to conserve energy and create a sustainable means of travel. For example, we might consider electric vehicles as a mode of travel in the future. Improving quality of life might include adding pedestrian and bike trails and carefully planning roadway expansions to not burden a housing complex with additional noise and air pollution. Goal number 5 is to establish a transportation system that supports economic vitality for the region. We feel that this goal is important because our transportation system moves things and peoples and businesses as they want or need them. Also, the transportation system gets people to their jobs or other services they might need. Further, people want to live, play, and work in a region that offers great transportation options. Goal number 6 is to provide options that enhance the quality of life for vulnerable population groups, such as minority, low income, and even limited mobility groups. Candidly, some people get a little worked up about this goal because they believe it should reflect everyone in the population. But there's a reason why this goal is so narrowly worded. Federal laws exist to protect vulnerable population groups because they have unique challenges, and historically, transportation projects have negatively impacted minority and low-income people. Because we do need to plan for the transportation system that works for everyone, this goal stresses the importance of making sure traditionally underserved groups are included. Okay. Lastly, goal number 7 includes members of the public in the transportation planning process. The public has an important role to play in developing the transportation system. They use the transportation system and have valuable feedback to share that will help transportation professionals use their technical knowledge and tools to improve these weaknesses. The public also provides valuable feedback to the elected officials and others who have transportation funding decisions and have the authority and power to make the changes happen. This goal is important because the public is kept informed and is given the chance to provide feedback. FAMPO provides opportunities for the public to take a part in the planning process in a variety of different ways. You can also learn more on the public involvement page on the website, the link is shown in the slide. And also, Stacy mentioned that we are having this survey run through December 31st. So it's a perfect opportunity for you to weigh in on the transportation goals that we just discussed. And so I'll throw it back over to Stacy for the question and answer part of the presentation.
Thanks for that presentation, Jordan. Yeah, we have a few questions for you today. The first one, how will these goals that we've talked about today be used to improve the region's transportation system?
That's a great question. The goals will be included in the 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan, the LRTP, which is a resource for planners and decision makers in the city of Fredericksburg, Stafford, and Spotsylvania counties. It also is a resource for transit agencies like Fredericksburg Transit and the Virginia Railway Express, or VRE. Localities and transit agencies actually submit projects to be included in this plan. FAMPO staff does not create the transportation projects. So the goals are intended to be considered by localities and transit agencies as they develop future transportation projects and consider how to spend transportation funding dollars.
So planners for the localities and decision makers for localities and transit agencies will consider the goals as they develop their transportation projects. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Also, the Long Range Transportation Plan informs VDOT, the Virginia Department of Transportation, of our regional needs and plans. So VDOT will be aware of our regional goals.
Thanks. One more question. So these are goals that FAMPO staff have proposed because based on their transportation knowledge, they believe that they are the best for the region. But suppose the public disagrees with a goal or has a new goal that FAMPO staff haven't thought of. Let's say they convey their ideas and concerns through the survey, or they just call staff and voice their concerns. Will their input actually matter? How will FAMPO staff consider public input?
Yeah, that's a great question. So all public input does matter. And after the survey window closes on December 31st, FAMPO staff will receive all feedback from the survey and create a report on what the survey respondees have said. And then we'll take this feedback and share it with the staff and decision makers and make it available to the public. We will also discuss the public's feedback and modify, delete, or add to the goals as necessary.
And what if the public still disagrees with the modified goals? Can they do anything at that point?
Yeah, they can. So as we've talked about, the goals include the 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan, which is expected to be completed around the end of 2021. So before the 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan is adopted, a draft plan goes out for public comment. And that you have 30 days as the public to comment on this. And again, that's an opportunity to respond back to these goals. So members of the public can submit further comments and concerns at that time, and all the comments will then be reviewed for decision makers, and a vote will include the comments as necessary.
Thanks, Jordan, and thanks everyone for tuning in. We encourage you to take the survey to help develop the transportation goals that will improve how the community moves, grows, and functions.